technical expertise isn't the center of the universe, but the customer's problem is the center of the universe. You're dealing with people who have maybe gone through like four different pivots and have now built a unicorn, or maybe they're, taking it public on the stock exchange. Getting that feedback loop very quick for solving somebody's pain point, there's no excuse now because of AI.
So, hello Sid, welcome to this video. How is it going? Everything at your end?
Yeah, hey Ayaan. Yeah, things are going great here in San Francisco. How about you?
Everything's great. Just for the audience, I will just give a one-liner about Sid. Sid has been into YC. He's the co-founder of Clodo AI. I think Sid, you would be able to introduce yourself much better than me. So, could you just brief yourself about what you do, what your plans are, and how everything is going?
Yeah. I'm one of the co-founders of Clodo. We're basically the world's best people discovery tool. So you can think of this as a way to find your next buyers, your next hires. We see students using it to find recruiters. We see student founders using it to find their first customers. So it's kind of a very exciting tool for sure.
I am from a marketing background. I know the pain points of finding leads, finding the right people at the right time, and definitely like something sort of a solution at Clodo would be helpful. But I'm just keen to know like what does Clodo do differently? I know there are a lot of lead generation tools out there who might help me with all my work, but what is it about Clodo that makes it special?
Yeah, I would say it's really the way that we treat agentic web research as a
Mhm.
first class primitive in the search. So that means that let's say you're a startup founder and you're looking for a very specific criteria. You're looking for people who are working in voice AI and are actively hiring for more QA engineers. In order to know, right, that signal, you need to do a lot of web
Mhm.
research to figure out signal across different sources on the web and triangulate a particular person who's qualified and has intent to buy what you're making.
Yeah, got it, got it. So this is obviously an interesting problem to solve. One thing that we would want from this video is anyone who is looking to build something gets value out of it. And I believe the experience you had at YC would be something that would interest everybody. Could you just run us through like what was it before, during, and after YC? Like how has life been like in each of these three phases?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is sort of the same. Like I think my co-founder and I are still, we're the same people, right?
Okay.
Like we still operate the same way, we still make the same jokes and everything.
Yeah.
But I think certainly, I think what YC helped with is like giving structure about how to think about a problem
Hmm.
and how to approach it. So, like for example, I think before YC, we would sometimes get, and kind of even in the beginning of YC, like we would kind of get very caught up in the technical challenge, like solving a problem, right? It's like,
Hmm.
you put engineers, like there's the famous saying, it's like you ask an engineer a question, like they'll basically try to come up with an answer. But if you ask a salesperson the question, they'll first challenge the premise of the question itself. So I think like YC kind of helped us, you could say, hit that unlock because a lot of times we would spend time just alone working on a feature or working on a product, but it's like what's more important is to know how it ties into the customer's pain point,
Definitely.
right? So
Yeah.
talking to customers, talking to people, making that the first priority is something that we only learned at YC.
Uh-huh. I believe a lot of it is about basics done correctly. I heard Dalton, director of YC, for someone who doesn't know. Like he mentioned this interesting thing that a lot of the advice that we give at YC is very basic stuff like don't die or keep your profits higher than your losses. Like a lot of these things are things that we know inherently, but something that requires constant reminding. What was it like? Was it the same thing for you? Were these challenges also faced by you? That constant reminders.
Yeah, like I think a lot of people maybe, and including us maybe, it's like come into YC thinking that there'll be like some deep
Yeah.
secret business insight or business unlock that will just completely change the trajectory of what you're doing. But yeah, it's just that's not the case, right? It's
Mm.
like it's really just about the customer is number one, their pain point is number one.
Yeah.
Everything revolves around that, right? It's like technical expertise isn't the center of the universe, but the customer's problem is the center of the universe for you. I think is like, yeah, it sounds trivial, but even we, I think, only really grasped that after slash during White Sea.
But for someone like me, for example, who aspires to get into IC, okay, uh, what do you think that helps one stand out? For example, like what were you doing 6 months before your YC experience that helped you stand out, helped your application stand out, and eventually got you into YC?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing, and obviously not, I wouldn't consider myself an expert still, like because I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of companies that come into YC with a
Uh-huh.
ton of traction already. There are cases like that, but I think on average, I guess the most important thing is like having some kind of deep understanding of someone else's pain, I think is the most important thing. That can translate in a couple different ways, right? Like if you have a business that's already doing quite well, then inherently you must have some understanding. But
Yeah.
a lot of times YC and the common sentiment is that like you don't actually need a business, right? It's like you might
Yeah.
just have an idea or a
Mhm.
problem. But the key thing is like that idea can't just be like a amorphous idea in space. Like it needs to be tied very directly to
Hmm.
someone's pain that you should be able to prove and talk about. So maybe just as one example, right? For us, prior to YC, we were basically, in order to chase down people's pain, we would go door to door. Like we would spend our weekends, our nights basically going door to door to like different potential customers and like literally knocking on their doors, going to their where they're at, and then we would pitch them what we're doing. They would be like, "Yeah, this is completely useless to us," and it's like, okay, there's like a feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
So I think by the time maybe that we applied to YC, we had like a few kernels of evidence that we were solving somebody's
Definitely.
pain.
Hmm.
And it's like maybe one last thing too is like I think when you optimize for that, when you optimize for really finding somebody's pain, it's
Hmm.
like you will inherently uh you could say exercise the founder traits of like doing things that don't scale. You've
Yeah.
probably heard that from
Yeah.
Paul Graham and like the founder grit and like all these things come as a result of that, I think. And the best founders, I think, have that going in, and I think that's what YC tries to look for.
Got it. Got it. Like my like summarizing what you said, my takeaway being that deep expertise, not necessarily a business, but deep expertise about the problem, deep understanding of the problem would be a better way to say it, and just a conviction to go about doing it. I think that would be something that the people at YC look for when they try to get in someone, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I think like nowadays too, it's like the value of you just like building this very
Uh-huh.
like crazy application that has tons of features and it's like whoa, it's like so impressive, so cool, that just does not mean anything nowadays, right? It's like they're looking for what's what unique insight or what unique window into someone's problem do you have. In fact, like for us, right, like a lot of the primary reason why Clodo exists
Mm-hmm.
today, actually, like being completely honest, is that we made a tool for ourselves to help us find people's problems. That's really how it started. Like we made a tool that we could just type in our hypothesis and then it would spit out like people that we should talk to, right? And then eventually it turned out that that was useful to
That
other
was
people. And
cool.
I think like other YC founders and stuff, just started using it for the same reason.
So, like, did you apply to YC with this idea, or did you build this when you were into YC?
We only built it when we were in YC.
But
So I think that's another thing too. It's
uh,
like a lot of founders will come into YC with an idea or a problem that they're working on. As long as it meets those first two criteria, I think it's still fine. But think, yeah, once you're in YC and stuff like that, it's like a very
Hmm.
interesting kind of dynamic because you can actually, spend time thinking as opposed to maybe doing your job and then working on something on the side before
Definitely.
YC.
So, in your experience, like what was your batch like? How did YC eventually help you accelerate Clodo's growth, I would say?
Yeah. Yeah, so certainly, and I think this has been like well documented by a lot of people, but certainly the best and most valuable part about YC is like the network, right? It's like
Definitely.
meeting these other founders who are just like
Hmm.
way, way smarter than you and just like know so much more than you. It's crazy. Like even now, right? Like it's not like it's only true during the batch. Like even especially after the batch, like you're dealing with people who have maybe gone through like four different pivots and have now built a unicorn, or maybe they're, taking it public on the stock exchange. So it's just like this wealth of knowledge, really. And just like challenging you to think about the problem correctly, I think at all times is the most helpful thing. Um, in terms of maybe how it kind of like accelerated, in our case, it kind of changed the trajectory,
Hmm.
right? Like maybe if we hadn't got into YC, we would still be kind of moonlighting and working on our previous side project idea. But I think we kind of got that latitude to try different things and really needle in on what was an interesting product as a result of YC for sure.
I believe, like in your equation with your co-founder Ritvik, I feel you are more on the side of distribution, and Ritvik is more on the side of the technical execution. Am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah, I think roughly it's like, uh, I mean, I described Rithvik as like the most cracked, engineering
Yeah.
generational talent that I've ever known.
Uh-huh.
Um, so certainly, I think when push comes to shove, he'll handle some of the harder technical challenges, especially nowadays. I think you know, just the amount of users on Clodo, amount of customers that we're dealing with is uh, obviously challenging some of the rookie mistakes that we made technically wise. So now Ritik is handling all of that, and yeah, I think when it comes to sales and stuff, I try to help out there.
And it's just the two of you right now.
Yes, it's just the two of us right now.
Like the scale at which you are growing, it just doesn't justify that. It's just too much. So that's pretty impressive. Uh, like since Clodo is into the AI space, which is the space which right now everyone looks to get into, how much
Hmm.
do you feel that the engineering part has become easier or relevant in the sense that someone from a non-technical background, since both of you are engineers, you might not completely relate to this, but someone who doesn't have the necessary knowledge about the execution of AI and wants to build a product like Clodo, uh, what do you think like the scope for them is, and how do you think AI helps there?
Yeah. So I think if you go back to that initial point about like
Hmm.
having tight feedback loop with somebody's pain as
Yes.
being the most important thing,
Yes.
AI is great for that because now someone who's maybe non-technical can very quickly scaffold together like a 0 to 1 thing
Yeah.
for that pain point. I think still, and I'm sure Rithvik would agree too, is like I think still where some level of technical expertise is needed is for the 1 to 10. So like the
Got
actual
it.
scaling of a system or the actual designing of a proper infrastructure. I
Mhm.
think there's still need for human handholding, but I think certainly getting that feedback loop very quick for solving somebody's pain point, there's no excuse now because of AI. I think also it's like someone also told me once, like from YC, I think too, which is like the only like technically speaking, it's like the only person that you should be paying attention to is the customer and their pain. And
Yeah.
it's like even like competitors or like other things, like just focus on what they're facing and
Hmm.
just optimize for that. Right. And like I think to some degree there's some truth to that. Certainly, I mean, we keep our eyes open for new models and new capabilities and stuff. But for the most part, I think as the models have increased, our Clodo has improved as well because we just, you know, plug into those models, which is nice.
What would you be saying to the 1 or 2 year previous version of Sid who is looking to build something of his own and might get value out of such videos which we are recording right now? What would be your one piece of advice to them?
Yeah, I guess like, just like get out of the house and like talk to people. I
Okay.
keep mentioning this because of how like important we realized it is, right? Is like because maybe because uh we were technical and so forth. It's like, spend a lot of time just in my room, like building some thing that maybe is useful for people, maybe it's not, but I'm just like spending time on it anyway, right? But that's like not the right approach. It's like you just really have to get out of the house and just talk to people and find interesting things. Be curious, I think is the main thing. Be more curious all the time.